Yo, 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 hit 'em high, hit 'em low. Welcome to the Noble Just Ball podcast. It's your boy Nick Hughes alongside Julian. Kyle Phillips rejoining the podcast from the
We're getting
good
the
old
band
days,
back together.
right?
Nice.
My goodness, the last time we were all together, I think we were talking about Kristaps Porzingis leaving the Knicks. Sorry,
Wow.
Julian.
It's all right. I had to bring that
Yeah,
back up.
yeah.
Right.
So just some heartbreak there. Yeah, no, we've been away for a little bit, but happy to be back. For some reason, this podcast only does well during the off season, so here we are again. Fun stuff. Since we last left off, some housekeeping. The Houston Astros are the World Series champions. Uh, boo. I think everyone can boo.
Boo.
Boo, boo,
Big
boo.
time,
All
dude.
right. Um, weird brother versus brother face-off. Alex ended up winning our fantasy baseball league, which is also
Boo.
boo. I mean, Julian's booing because he lost in the title game. I didn't even make it. Really upsetting stuff. Anyway, uh, yeah, Kyle, you missed a lot with fantasy baseball this year. It was rough. Also, new housekeeping stuff. I don't know if this was on the last podcast or not. I got a dog. His name's Jeter.
I don't think
Very
it was. I think it's been a while since the last episode.
Yeah, that's true. We got him in early September, so we might have just missed it. But yeah, Jeter's here now, so he's just my new really bad sound technician. So that's what we're doing here. So obviously the big stuff going on right now in Major League Baseball, hence what's going on behind me. We're not quite at the winter meetings, we're at the GM meetings in Las Vegas, where some of the early stuff gets worked out trade-wise. Guys get a feel with some agents. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna play a free agent predictions game. All right, and the rules are very simple. We're gonna go around, in a circle here and predict the landing spots and the number of years for each free agent on a list of about 25. All right, we're going position by position. So we're going to have some starters, some relievers, catchers, infielders, outfielders, and some fun throw ins at the end there. Obviously, they're the bigger names. You guys are going to have to wait a little bit later on to dive into those. But 1 point if you correctly guess that a player signs with a team, you get a point.
All right.
Uh, if you correctly guess the length of that player's contract, you get a point. And 2 points will be awarded if you get it right and you are the only person to have guessed that team.
Okay.
So some
Question.
some fun bonus points there. Go ahead.
What do we win?
That's a really good question. Bragging
Bragging
rights
rights
for
for the
sure.
year,
Bragging rights for
obviously.
sure, but I need something. I need something.
Um, okay, the person who finishes with the lowest number of points
Okay.
will have to buy the first round of beers at the next Yankee game we are all able to attend together.
All
I'm
right.
with that.
I like that.
Fair. Okay.
Fair.
All right. Keep the stakes fun and interesting, and no matter what I win, I get a beer. So, here we are. All right, so we're going to start off in the pitching market, and surprising, I think, to a degree, on not our sort of bigger names category. We're going to start off with Jacob DeGrom. The reason why I left him off is just because, as an older pitcher, maybe won't sniff that $300 million mark that some of our other marquee talents might. But anybody want to feel passionate about this one? Jump right in on where he's going and for how long?
I'll jump right in. I think
Go
he's
for it.
staying put in Queens. After a lot of debate between him and I heard the Rangers today were really interested, and he let them know as well. I think the Mets are just going to overpay him a little bit. I got him for 4 years, 180 mil, about 45 a year. Um, Steve Cohen's going to want to keep him. There's no way you can let somebody like him walk, especially even if he is an injury prone. The name just sells itself.
Yeah, I'm actually going to agree with you. I think the length is a little off. I thought there was no way Cohen lets DeGrom walk. The years is, I mean, 4 years is a little tough for me to
Yeah, I've been
swallow.
seeing a lot of people. I've been seeing everywhere that he's more looking for like a 4 year. Like a lot of people are
Wow.
speculating like a 4, 5, 6 year deal somewhere around those
Oh
lines.
man, I had
I,
it. I
I don't see
had
his market like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna say I had 3 years, 135. So again, $45 million AAV, but 2 years and an opt out, and it's a player opt out to sort of sweeten
yeah.
the deal for him. If he's still Jacob DeGrom 2 years from now, might want to opt out, test the market again. But I just, you know, I couldn't see somebody giving coming off the injury and stuff. Obviously he proved he's still there, but could not see it being a long term deal.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the Texas thing because that's where I got him going.
Ooh,
Yeah, I got him going with the
Nice.
Rangers. I see the Rangers like continue what they were doing last offseason, like actually trying to make a push to actually be good. So they're gonna try to spend some money. So I got him going there on like a 3-year deal, 135. I think the same thing you said, Nick. So that's
okay.
what I got him at.
I like that. I like that. Moving on to another sort of big name superstar pitcher, just won a World Series. Justin Verlander. I think this is where, I think the market can be whatever you really put it in your head to be. And I'm actually going to throw this one out. A team who last year started making moves towards contention in a very weak division. Uh, and quite frankly, they already started the spending habit. I can't see them backpedaling now. I'm going Justin Verlander in a return tour with the Detroit Tigers.
Hmm. I
And again, I'm going short-term deal, 2 years with an opt-out. He won't get Jacob DeGrom 45 a year, but I think he might be able to pull about 30 to 35. I'll say 35. So what does that put me at? 105, 2 years and an opt-out. So 3 years overall for Justin Verlander back to the Detroit Tigers to sort of close out the career, if you will.
like that. Kyle, do you want to go next, or you
Yeah,
want
I'll
me to
go.
take it?
I got him going back to the Astros. I don't see them just walking away from him after they just won the championship. I feel like the organization loves him there. So I got them only having him there for like 2 years, like 80 mil. Like they're gonna pay him 40 million, and he's gonna be like, all right, cool, I'll come back for 2 more years, and then call it
Okay.
quits.
I also have him going to the Astros, and same. I have him about 2 years, but I have him making 43 a year because if Max Scherzer can get that for a few years, I don't see why the reigning Cy Young winner won't be able to argue for that in free agency, especially for a year or two. And I don't think he has much left on the tank just because after that press conference of him, like I feel like he's going to be hanging it up soon to go hang out with Kate Upton.
Yep, I see that. I see that for sure.
See, here's the thing. This is where I gotta have some pushback. Because for me, it was less about obviously he's loved in Houston. Don't get me wrong. He's
Yeah.
had a lot of success, and there should be some precedent for him to want to return. I didn't see for the Astros, excuse me, I didn't see the need. Where if we're talking about him making 35 to 45 in that range, if you will, uh they have a very good young pitching staff and a couple guys in their system that could still be promoted or
Yeah.
cost effective options on the market. Forrest Whitley is still a name that, could really get a chance next year to take that spot. Or you could pay for a guy like a Jameson Taillon. You could pay for a Ross Stripling. There are alternative options I felt for Houston. And I think they need to address one specific hole on their team. And I guess we'll get into that a little bit later. Somewhere else where the money I think could be better spent to really help them hold on to the crown long term. But
I get that. I feel like, especially if they are going to continue with most of that pitching staff, they are going to need that pitcher that can take that and put them under their wing. Similar, like I said, like comparing it to the Max Scherzer deal with the Mets, like Max Scherzer pretty much put that whole staff under his wing. Like, hey, this is how you pitch it, open it up a curveball, stuff like that. I feel like Verlander, it's kind of priceless, especially when you have Valdez, you have what's his name who pitched the no hitter. You have all these young
yeah,
pitchers. Having Verlander for another 2 years, we can still make a run at it. Obviously, he still has some stuff left in the tank.
oh, for
I
sure.
feel like the Astros aren't going to even blink. We don't pay pretty much anybody but Jose Altuve money. Might as well open up the pockets a little bit, especially for like the future hole that you were saying.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And moving on to our last starter of the day. It's going to be a guy who, I mean, similar to Verlander we were talking about a year ago, but Carlos Rodon re-enters free agency, opts out of his contract with the New York Giants, or the San Francisco Giants, might be football season. So he opts back out of his contract with the San Francisco Giants, back on the market again, and I think after a few years of injury concern. His final year with Chicago and then last year with San Francisco really, I think, sort of dispelled a lot of the concern, or at least should have, as far as front offices. So I'm curious, Kyle, I'll let you kick this one off. Where do you have Carlos Rodon going?
Um, I got him going to the Cardinals. I kind of like switched between a couple teams, but I got him to the Cardinals on like a 5-year deal, like about 140. Um, I feel like the Cardinals are gonna try to like, bolster up their rotation, try to get better. I think they're kind of disappointed on the way that their season ended and stuff like that. And I feel like with them having Nolan Arenado and Goldie both having really good seasons and not doing much with it, they're gonna try to make that little push and get some help in the rotation.
I actually have him going to a team you had mentioned before, going after a pitcher, the Texas Rangers. I think this is where they nabbed their starter. I agree
Yeah, I
with
was
you on
thinking
the
that too.
5 years. I feel Carlos Rodon is the kind of guy. Now, if the Rangers, want to really, last year for some reason they thought John Gray would be suddenly able to anchor a staff. I think he's was serviceable. Definitely not the big marquee pitcher that they needed. I think Carlos Rodon can be. He's shown us that he can be now in two different, you know, very different ballparks, very different situations with the White Sox and Giants. So I think he's a good fit for the Rangers culturally. I think he's a good fit for what they're looking for, and hopefully it could be a nice little thing. And I agree with you on the number of years there. I also have him at a 5 year.
Yeah, pretty much the combination of you two. I also have him going to the Rangers for 5 years. I figured if the Rangers miss out on DeGrom, they're going to overpay and really pay for the next best pitcher available, which will be Rodon. Um, I have it for that same thing, but if anything happens, my secondary was he's going to go to the Mets if the Mets don't
Mm.
uh, get on DeGrom because the Mets are he'd fit in a lot of different rotations, just
Yeah,
being a strong lefty presence.
yeah, for sure. Um, it's kind of weird for every starter outside of the team that I had them going to. My number two and number three were the Yankees and Red Sox in one order or another, as a team who really
Yeah,
needs to overpay another starter.
yeah.
So I mean, it's just kind of interesting, the sort of full gambit there. I mean, yeah, we'll
Also,
see.
also, is it a little bit of wishful thinking as well?
No, I mean, it was just more of a need and a fit.
Yeah,
I think there are teams, in each case for me, I think I have a team that's going to pay more for the marquee name. Like I said before, I can't see Cohen letting DeGrom walk. I can't
exactly.
see I see the Tigers really seeing the value in bringing Verlander back in. And I see, for the Rangers really finally needing that ace, so they're going to offer money to all of these guys.
Oh yeah,
But I have Rodon taking it. So we're going to move on to the bullpen. Kind of a interesting bullpen class. It's one of
yeah.
those bullpen classes of, if you asked me 2 years ago, I think this is the greatest bullpen, in baseball history. But age happens. Father time is undefeated, as they say. So we're going to start off with Taylor Rogers, twin brother of Tyler Rogers, or did I get that backwards?
Wouldn't that be the same thing if they're
I was
twins?
say backwards, like
How
what?
do you,
No,
how
no,
do
no.
you get
Which
that backward?
Taylor Rogers is the free agent that was with the Twins, then the Padres, then the Brewers,
Yeah,
correct?
that's Taylor Rogers is the free
Okay.
agent. Yeah.
Okay, cool, 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 cool. Just making sure. My
No,
bad.
you're good.
All right. So Taylor Rogers. Okay. Julian, go ahead. Where you got Taylor Rogers going?
I got him going to Toronto, north of the border. I feel like after the mishap of them blowing that big game to Seattle, they're gonna want to bolster that bullpen. I got him going for 3 years, 30 mil to Toronto, and I feel like that's something Toronto. I feel like is gonna be very active in the bullpen market this year.
I like that. I like that. Kyle, any thoughts?
Um, seeing after like his stint as after he got traded and then he lost the closer position, I think he's gonna try to like get redeem himself. So I think he's gonna take like a 2-year deal with the Mets, and he's not gonna be in the closer position. He could be a setup guy and
Ooh,
just perform really well there, and
damn,
then
I really like that.
work on from there, trying to get back to being a premier closer that he once thought he was.
See, that's weird because I really like that now. In my like thing, I had him only seeking the opportunity to go back to being a closer.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So I have him 3 years to the Colorado Rockies.
Okay.
He's from Colorado originally. So that plays a role. But on top of that, they're a team who I think I mean I don't know what they think, but I think they're willing to spend after we saw what they did with Chris Bryant last year. So, I don't know what the plan is. I have to assume at some point they're going to try to pay for a pitcher. And it's probably going to start with the back end relief. Um,
But do you think they'd give it to him over Bard?
I absolutely. Hometown kid coming home,
True.
playoff experience with the Minnesota Twins at least last year. Kind of disappointing end with the Brewers, but I mean, when he was in the Padres uniform, he was looking incredible at the time. So I think there's enough there, and more recent track record of success, I'd say, than Daniel Bard has. And beyond that, the other fun one that I had was him going to the San Francisco Giants to join his twin brother. I thought that
That'd be
was
pretty cool.
I'm not
then I
surprised.
would
I'm not surprised you said that.
yeah, then I would really have no idea which one is which.
And it'll make it even worse for you.
Yeah, no, at that point it's just that the rod. It's like when the Morris twins played for the Phoenix Suns at the same time. And I had no idea which one was which, and I'm pretty sure the commentators didn't either. So
I
same
mean,
concept.
those guys like purposely got the same tattoos to look exactly the
Yep.
same.
Yeah.
So there's no distinction between them.
Yeah, man. I think the only way to know with the Rogers twins is one is a righty, one is a lefty. So
Yeah.
that at least helps for this sake. All right. So the next guy we have is Kenley Jansen. A very fun name. And a name I have going, staying in the division he's currently in. I have him going to the Philadelphia Phillies, who have really tried to pad their bullpen. It has not worked a ton, as we saw, sort of be their downfall in the World Series this year. It's the one thing that appears to just not click for them ever. They can't seem to push guys up, internally into bullpen roles steadily. Their past few attempts to bring in free agents, with marquee names has not worked, but Kenley Jansen kind of just proved, hey, even on a 1 year, I can go into Atlanta and do something. So I have him doing the same thing for Philly, but on a 2 year pact instead of the 1 year.
I also have him have a 2 year, but I have him going to Texas.
Ooh,
I feel like Texas is going to want to bolster up. Like I said, like they want to be competitive. I feel like
yeah.
adding an arm in the rotation and then also adding another arm in the bullpen will be the one. And I feel like Hanley Jensen is that veteran who, again, they have a lot of young arms, can definitely try to teach somebody under their wing. And I know they have a lot of people in their
Like that.
farm system that can come up and eventually take the role that he's going to leave in like 2 years.
So for me, like this is probably one of my like more surprising picks,
Oh,
but I have him being like one of like the last like dominoes.
okay.
So like this is why I have it happening. I had the Yankees taking him on a 2-year deal. Like I could see Brian Cashman like, you know what? He's still out there. Let me go and bolster up the bullpen, add
Okay.
another arm on a 2-year deal just to see what he could do it. See if anything happens where like, the closer position isn't completely solidified as the way he wants it to be. And you
I
could
was
throw
just
him
gonna
in.
ask.
You could
I was
throw
gonna
him
say
in
is
and have him do it, take the closer position, see what he does.
I was just gonna say, does he move into the closer role then for you, and Clay Holmes goes back to a setup kind of job?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna go into the season having Clay Holmes being the closer, but he's not gonna really show the consistency that they want. and I think they're gonna move over to putting him in.
I like that. I actually really
I do
like
like
that.
that as well.
I mean, I would love to see it just as a fan, but beyond that, we're gonna move on to another sort of longtime great closer. Has had some up and down success or lack thereof, I guess, recently. And Kenley Jansen, still somehow the third best relief pitcher in terms of like WAR, at least on the free agent market right now, which kind of surprised me a bit. Or Craig Kimbrell, I should say. Anybody want to start this one off?
I'll start off. This one was kind of like a shot in the dark. But I feel like Seattle can make a move for him. I got Seattle offering like a 2-year, 24 mil deal.
Yeah.
Like maybe he won't be the closer, but he can be in between. That's either between the setup guy and then end up going to his closer towards the playoffs. Because now Seattle, they know they can make the playoffs. Now it's time to build up to make that team more solid.
Yeah. Um, I like that. I actually have another sort of return here with Craig Kimbrell going back to the Boston Red Sox, a place where he saw a lot of success, a Red Sox team that I think at this point, has sort of said, we're not going to spend the money we once sort of did. We're going to go about it with Heim Bloom as being more of a fiscally responsible attempted contender. We'll see how it goes. Has not gone well so far, but I could see him saying, "Hey, here's a guy who's done it well, here with us." So I could see him, looking at Craig Kimbrell and saying, "Hey, here's a 1 year, pact. Come on in and try to find the magic again. We won't make you shave."
Yeah, I got him going to literally the same place on a 1 year, prove a
Yeah.
deal, try to show that he's still, a good reliever that can, help out a team. So yeah, I got him on a 1 year deal on the Red Sox.
Okay, okay, I like that. I like that. Moving on now, and this is I'll open it up here. We're gonna move into catchers. And for me, this is where I sort of tipped my hand a bit earlier, I feel. This is where I have the Houston Astros spending money. As their one sort of glaring hole for years is finding the balance between a defensive catcher and a guy who is not sort of a hole in the line. Do not get me wrong, Martin Maldonado had a very good playoff run. That being said, I do not believe long term they have another catching option. I know they were really big on Corey Lee for a while. That's since cooled. Sort of profiles more now as a backup catching option, potentially moving into sort of play the field, maybe at first, maybe at a corner outfield spot. That being said, I have them going with the big ticket behind home plate, Wilson Contreras. I think at one point it's sort of had them trying to trade for him at the All-Star break. I think that sort of continues here. I think it makes too much sense for them to not do it. And again, it's another guy, a former World Series champion who can sort of match their current pedigree, can come in and anchor a pitching staff for them and really, teach some young guys how to play some. I mean, I guess they already know how, but it feels like a good cultural fit there.
Oh,
I have him moving in the same. I have him staying in the same division, but I have him going to St. Louis.
Taking the
Now that
Yachty
Yachty's
pick.
gone, they're gonna
Mm,
want to fill that hole and fill it fast because I don't think there's any prospects in their
farm system.
system.
farm system
Yeah.
that they're too high up on. So I got them offering him a 4-year, 84 mil year contract. Um, Especially now that they don't have to worry about just the defense. Same thing with Houston. Like with Yachty, it was purely defensive. They got the bat every now and then. But now with Contreras, they're going to have both, and they're going to love it. They're going to spend, you know, try to get back to winning another division.
Yeah. This one of the ones that I kind of agree with the popular opinion, and I got him just taking over for Yachty in St. Louis. I just think it's perfect fit. I think it works really well, and just
See,
gonna be plug and play.
I will say I like that fit as well. Also, I don't know if anybody else, I forgot to throw out my years. I had him on a 4 year.
Okay,
Yeah, 4 years. Well,
so we all got him on a 4 year
yeah.
deal.
Okay, we all took 4 there. My thing, and this is where now I disagree with you guys, is based on the next guy we have coming up in Mike Zunino, current catcher for the Tampa Bay Rays. I have him going to St. Louis on a 2 year because
Okay.
I disagree with you, Julian, in the sense of I see them viewing Ivan Pereira as the catcher of the future, very Yachty-esque from that same sort of school of thinking, defensive minded, what you get behind the plate, offensively you'll take, but he's a very smart baseball mind at a
Yeah.
very young age already. I think he's 20, 21 right now, already on the 40 man, is already viewed as a guy that's going to be an impact player for the long term.
So you have Mike as a stopgap?
Yeah, so Mike Zunino sort of playing stopgap. He could lose the starting job this year, kind of stopgap is sort of where I view him right now with the Cardinals. But still, it's not a bad stopgap to have a strong defensive catcher who could potentially hit, something like 20 home runs for you in a given year. So, where you guys have Mike Zunino?
I got him staying with the Rays on a short-term deal.
Ooh,
Yeah. I'm gonna have to agree with Kyle. I also
Yeah.
have him staying in the Rays for 2 years.
Yeah.
He's gonna be a stopgap, but I feel like he's gonna be a stopgap for the Rays. They're I feel like they're very comfortable with him in that position, and they're probably waiting on a few other prospects to come up and see what the market is, maybe.
I figured it was just finally this is going to be the year that the Rays just go all in with Francisco Mejia and just say, all right, we've sort of beat around the bush for too long. We're just going to let you try. I just thought this was finally going to be the year they just say, all right, screw it. Once upon a time, you were the best prospect in baseball. Let's see if we finally just let you just turn on.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. The last catcher we have is Omar Narvaez, currently of the Milwaukee Brewers. Full disclosure, I have him staying put. I think it's a great fit for him. 4 years to stay in Milwaukee. They're a team that does not really have a great farm system, has a long-standing history of not being able to develop a catcher. It does not make sense for me. For me, it does not make sense for him to go anywhere else. I don't think anyone will sort of pay him what Milwaukee would pay him to stay. There isn't a ton of teams in need of like a catcher of his magnitude, who's not an elite guy, but serviceable.
So
He was an all-star 2 years ago, so
Yeah.
why didn't they give him a contract extension?
Huh?
Why didn't they give him a contract extension?
Not really sure. I'm curious if they tried to test the waters on a Contreras maybe, but I didn't really understand that either.
yeah.
I don't feel like they have someone, in the waiting. I could be wrong there, but I don't feel they, are ready to promote someone else to that role, especially if they're still trying to contend in that division.
Yeah, because their highest catching prospect is Jefferson Cuero, and he's only in single A right now, so they're gonna need that stopgap. I also have them staying in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I see
But
no reason for them to not re-sign him.
Yeah,
For
would
him
you
to
guys have?
leave.
I also had him staying in Milwaukee.
No, I said years wise.
Year-wise? 2 years.
I got him in a 3 with a player option at 2, or
Okay.
a club option at 2.
Look at us being different. 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right, moving on to first base, where now this I think becomes a little interesting.
Yep.
I think we might start seeing from here on out a little bit more of looking down the list. I feel like there are a lot more places this can sort of go after the pitching and catching market. We're going to start with Jose Abreu. Kyle, do you have a strong take on where he's headed?
I don't have a strong take, but what I decided to go with was short-term deal, 2 years, about 40 million to the Twins.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I like it.
get them another bat. I think you would fit pretty well there.
okay. So like, do you move Arias to second or something? Like, what's the?
That's probably my biggest problem with the Twins. I feel like
Or
they
maybe just
would shift him over to second and plug Abreu at first, but I don't know. That was probably my biggest problem with it, but I couldn't really see any better fit for him other than the Twins, in my opinion.
I like that. I do like that. I have him in the same division. I have him being sort of this perfect uh veteran leader slash guy who could still do it at a position of desperate need for the Cleveland Guardians. We saw in the playoffs, this is a young team, scrappy, it's fun to watch, exciting. Uh, their biggest
They need
positional
power.
hole is first base, and they need pop. Now, Jose Abreu is not going to be a 30 home run a year hitter for you, but if he can give you 20 and bat 300, I think you're very happy. He's going to play a serviceable first base, but him and now you're in a situation where Jose Ramirez does not have to play at age, what is he, 26, 27, have to pretend to be the veteran on the team. We can just let Jose Abreu, who's 35, just, I have him there for 2 years, and he can just be the guy there for 2 years and just teach these guys how to play the game. Try to maintain that AL Central crown and hopefully advance further next year.
All right, mine's a little bit definitely more out in left field. I got Jose Abreu going to Seattle for a 3-year deal, not to play first, but to be their professional hitter. He's going to be just constantly at DH.
Gotcha.
Because
Okay.
that is probably their biggest hole, I feel like, is that DH position. They're always trying to figure
I
out
like
who's
that.
going there. And I feel like Jose Abreu, especially on another young team, could definitely fit that role, that same role that you're talking about in Cleveland, but in Seattle.
Okay. I like that. I like that. I like that. All right. Up next, we're gonna go Anthony Rizzo. Rizzo, how are you feeling? I mean, for me, it's very transparently one way. Uh, Anthony Rizzo is going to remain with the New York Yankees. I have him on a 3-year deal. Um, when you offer a guy a qualifying offer he is already Rizzo's what, 33, 34?
30, I think 33. Let me look that up.
Okay. So at his age, a team is not going to, he is not the caliber of player where a team is going to risk giving up draft picks, even though draft picks are not, as a big deal in Major League Baseball. I think teams have now gotten so scouting conscious, so prospect conscious, that they want to hold on to those picks. They want to have control of their future. And
This
would
will
not,
be season 33 for him. So
this
he'll
will
be
be season
33
three.
there
Yeah.
this season. Yeah.
So for a guy like Anthony Rizzo, who you maybe can get two, pushing it with 3 good years out of still, obviously he's a guy I think will take a big step up again offensively because of the shift rules. I think, he obviously plays a very good defensive first base to this day. The Yankees still need a first baseman desperately. I think it's one of two things. It's either he accepts the qualifying offer because there's not a better offer out there because of this qualifying tag now, or two, he negotiates back with the Yankees on something like a 3-year, 15 a year. So 3-year, 45, where it extends, what he was going to get for an extra 2 years when he opted out. So
Yeah, I see no reason for him to leave the Yankees. Lefty, he got the short porch. I think he tied his home run career high total.
yeah,
Yeah, I just don't see him wanting to want to leave. As long
there's no
as
need.
as long as Cashman is willing to give him the money that he wants, he's definitely gonna stay. So I don't have him leaving. I got him on a 3-year deal as well. Um, it's a perfect fit. You
Yeah.
need a first baseman. He wants to get paid. He wants to play
He
somewhere where he's
fits
gonna.
so well in he fits so well in
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pinstripes too.
He's like a prototypical like Yankee.
He became
Um,
such a
I
likable.
don't have him. I like having him going to. I want him to be in the Yankees, but for the sake of the game, I decided a homecoming would be great. So I have him going back to Chicago for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Um, Pretty much same thing we were talking about with Jose Abreu, leadership role, young team. I know he loved it in Chicago, so I wouldn't doubt a homecoming would be coming sooner rather than later. But just for the sake of the game, I have him going to Chicago.
Okay. You're playing for points. I
Yeah, I'm
like
playing
that.
for points right here.
All right, that's cool. All right, so we're gonna go Josh Bell next. A very interesting name, big power bat, switch hitting, which is I think a rarity in this free agent class. Kyle, start us out. Where do you?
I got him where the way you were talking about Jose Abreu going to the Cleveland Guardians. I got
Oh,
Josh Bell going there for the same exact reasons. I just
okay,
see them
I
throwing
like
their
that.
money at him instead. And I got him at 3 years. Money wise, I'm not really sure because I'm not really sure what the market is for him right now, but I have him at 3 years.
I don't want this to happen,
uh-oh.
but I feel like if this team's not going to spend in the catcher's market, I have the Astros going and spending on Josh Bell. Now that Yuli Gurriel is going to be a free agent, I feel like it would be a good time to get younger. Gurriel is about to be 39, almost 40. Time to get younger. Let's get Bell. He can hit. He can pretty much do a lot. And he's 20, 28, 29. Josh Bell?
28.
28. I got Astros giving him a 4-year deal.
So here's the thing. Pre-World Series, I completely agreed with you. Post-World Series, Yuli Gurriel is an Astros first baseman until he decides he's hanging it up. Because even with an abysmal like regular season, the fact that he could just show up in the postseason and do Yuli Gurriel
Yeah.
things, he's going nowhere. It is how I look at it at this point. Because originally I thought he would like consider going out to Toronto to try to play alongside his brother, be a DH for them or something like that. No, he's staying in Houston. Best case for him, his brother comes down at some point. No. So instead, I have Josh Bell actually staying with San Diego. I think weirdly enough, he was the throw-in of the Juan Soto trade. It was very much expected he was just a rental. He was just going to supply a power bat, in the heart of that lineup, just to push them to the playoffs. I now look at it and I say, the only precedence for him to leave would be for, to split back to, he's from Texas originally. I thought maybe the Rangers, maybe the Astros. Realistically, though, I think he's in a perfect situation for himself in San Diego. It is beautiful in San Diego.
It is.
You were fresh off an NLCS appearance, and that's not including the fact that arguably the best player on the team was not present. Uh, you have a bunch of guys locked up long term. The only guy who isn't is Juan Soto, but ideally they're going to try to lock him up long term. There's no reason to not. You're in a situation where at best you have to be the fourth best hitter on that team. Fifth, actually, if you consider Jake Cronenworth. There's no pressure. It's a good situation. They're going to have to pay somebody this offseason. Why not Josh Bell? So that was my thing on a 3-year deal to stick around.
I respect it. I think the Cleveland one is probably the most interesting to me. I,
Yeah,
I,
I
I
actually
would
love
really like
that.
to see him on Cleveland.
Right? I actually did like Cleveland for him too. You guys keep selling me on things. Anyway, so unfortunately, there's not a lot to talk about with second base. We'll talk about the one guy who stands out a bit later on. But for right now, we're going to skip over to what I'm calling the sort of second tier shortstops, which is a really messed up thing to say about the three
Yeah.
guys I'm about to talk about, two in particular. Um, One is Xander Bogaerts, who Yankee killer, is honestly one of the best hitters, I think, just naturally in baseball today. It's just a testament to what the other guys at the position bring, who are also free agents with him. Um, Anybody want to start this one off? Because I feel like this could go a lot of ways very quickly. So, anyone feeling very passionate?
Very passionate. I'll go. Um, so I have the Dodgers. We're gonna talk about it later, but I have them not re-signing Trey Turner and instead throwing money towards Bogarts on a 7-year deal. Um, Obviously, the Dodgers just like to reload, so they're just gonna one guy leaves the door, another guy comes straight in. So I got them picking up Bogarts in a 7-year deal.
I actually agree with you.
Really?
All
Yeah,
right,
I
it's a
have.
sweep across the board then.
Wow, I
Wow.
also had the Dodgers. For so long, I said the St. Louis Cardinals. But the
Yep.
the change for me was with the emergence for the Cardinals of uh, Nolan Gorman and what's the other kid? Brendan Donovan, the kid
Yeah,
from Great Britain, lefty contact bat. With the emergence of the two of them both playing sort of second base, forcing Tommy Edman back to shortstop. I feel like they're just almost too stacked at so many positions that adding Xander Bogaerts doesn't make sense when they have a more glaring hole at catcher per se. Um, so I didn't love the fit anymore. And the Dodgers, I agree with you, Kyle. I think they're not going to want to do the Trey Turner bidding war. So they're gonna. I wouldn't even call it settling.
yeah.
They're gonna go with Xander Bogaerts. I have him at 6 years instead of 7. I just think it's a very good fit, and he remains very close friends with Mookie Betts to this day.
That's
Yep. Nice
Added
little
bonus.
reunion.
that's the
Yep.
main thing. I have the Dodgers. Why he picks the Dodgers, and I also have him at a 7-year deal. Um, I don't think Trey Turner's going back, but Dodgers will reload.
As they usually do.
All right, I shit. I thought that was gonna
It's
be a
the
little
first
more
clean sweep.
widespread.
That's the first
All right,
clean sweep.
yeah, maybe actually, right?
Yeah.
All right, so the next one is Dansby Swanson. Will this also be a clean sweep? Because this
I'll go first
felt.
because I feel like mine's a little
If I if
obvious.
I hear both of you guys say the same thing, I'm just gonna pick something else.
Wait a minute, Julian, go ahead.
I have Dansby Swanson going to the Cubs. I have the
Wow.
Cubs wanting to spend, especially with the market. I feel like they'll be fighting the Cardinals for this, but then I feel like the Cardinals are just going to come up empty and just settle with Tommy Edman. But I have Swanson having a 7-year deal to the Cubs.
I weirdly love that.
Yeah. As
I
soon as I
think,
saw, I, I'm like, yeah, I like this. I like this a lot.
wow. Him next to Nico Horner
It
as a
gets him out of
second.
the NL East. I'm
Oh,
like, I
man.
like it.
Damn. That's interesting. I had him going, I had him staying in Atlanta, actually. I thought he's a hometown kid. I think he so perfectly still fits the timeline of all of the Atlanta superstars locked into long-term deals. I have him staying there for 6 years, essentially right alongside Matt Olson. Him and Olson were the only two players in baseball to play 162 games. He's a workhorse last year, a huge playoff hero for them. He is, I think he just fits so well with that team. Again, another situation where he does not have to be the man offensively, but on a night he can surprise you kind of deal. Defensively, he grades out pretty well. Not good, not great. Uh, so I can't see I don't see, and it's very unfortunate for him. I don't see the market materializing for him outside of Atlanta the way it probably should,
Yeah.
which is kind of unfortunate, but I think
I
that's
think I was
more.
watching MLB Network this morning, and someone brought up a point that there might be friction between Swanson and Acuna because apparently Acuna's camp people aren't happy with his deal, which is understandable. So a lot of people are like, "Yo, if Swanson ends up getting paid more than Acuna, it's gonna rub Acuna the wrong way." And I feel like the Braves in this situation would
I hope not.
probably pick Acuna over Swanson, but I hope not. But that's just what I heard. I don't know how true it is.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I got him going to the staying with the Braves as well. I just don't see him wanting to leave Atlanta. That's where he's from, and I think Atlanta sees that their window's still really wide, and why would they want to separate that core and try to mix something up? So I
Yeah,
just see him just staying there.
yeah. I
Give
think it
him
just
nice,
makes it,
give
it's almost a team that's built so well at this point. Like they
yeah,
can change nothing for the next like 5 years and be a contender every year,
yeah.
which
So I
is
got I got him at
that.
7 years, just to put the
Yeah.
years out there.
Weirdly enough, I do like the Cubs thing a lot though.
Yeah, I really like the Cubs then.
Him and
I didn't even think about that.
yeah, I was gonna say him and Nico Horner as a second base shortstop combination up the
It'd be
middle.
a lot of fun.
Next level. Wow, that's interesting. Next up we have Elvis Andrews, a forgotten name who just like came back alive with the bat. I mean,
Yeah.
the glove has always been decent, but came back alive with the bat after a trade midseason to the Chicago White Sox.
I thought he was released.
Or was it a release and the
Yeah,
White Sox
Yeah,
picked
he was
him up?
released.
yeah,
That's
I
what it
think he
was.
was released.
Okay, so he gets picked up by the White Sox, bat comes back alive, proves he can still be a contact hitter, potentially a leadoff guy for certain teams. And full disclosure, that's exactly the role I have him filling on a Philadelphia Phillies team who needs a shortstop and also needs a leadoff hitter that is not Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah.
I like Kyle Schwarber a lot. I just don't love him in that role. Elvis Andrews as a contact guy sort of breaks up that lefty heavy lineup a bit more. I think it flows well, it fits well. Uh, I don't think Bryson Stott is ready for the role yet. Long term, that's their option, but 2 years for Elvis Andrews to act as a stopgap, ideally keep them in contention is the way I went.
I also have him being a stopgap. But I have him going to the Twins for a 3-year deal. Just because I think the Twins are going to strike out with everybody. So I think that they're going to pretty much like, all right, Elvis Andrews is available. Let's go and grab him for 3 years, and then we'll figure it out then.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I couldn't really figure out where Elvis Andrews fit. Like, he's like 34 now, right? He's kind
Yeah,
of on
he's
the
up there.
he's on the older
Yeah,
side.
he's like
Yeah.
Yeah,
33, 34.
I couldn't really figure out where to put him, where to place him. I think he's another one of those people that's gonna be like one of the last dominoes. So that's kind of like it was kind of tough for me. So in terms of the game, I'm just gonna have him just going back on a short-term deal to be like one of those like utility guys that pick a spot that we need him to be at in the middle infield
Ooh.
type stuff. But I'm not super confident on it though.
I mean, it's interesting. I think, also with the idea that Tim Anderson is now a free agent next year. I think that's actually an interesting,
Yeah.
concept of him returning. He almost becomes your safety net in Chicago. That's interesting. I like that a lot. Um, all right, we're gonna move to the outfield. And it's a shame Brandon Brito is not here to discuss Brandon Nimmo.
Yeah.
Quickly became one of his favorite Mets this year. So I'll open this up. This is another guy I think because of the DeGrom contract and also because of the Mets, sort of forcing the issue on a guy that we'll get to a little bit later on. I think Nimmo becomes an easy re-sign for them. I think, in terms of a guy who can definitively play center field, obviously Starling Marte, you signed to be your center fielder last year. He ends up playing right field for you next to Nimmo. Is an easy safety net. You can sign a corner outfield guy instead. Nimmo, though, I really like him in Queens. I think plays a very good defensive center field. On top of it, a very good lefty contact bat. There's a lot of teams that could use him. But I think the Mets remain my favorite to resign him. I have him resigning on a 5-year pact. He's still, I think he's just 29, maybe 30.
Yeah.
5 years gives him time to really grow his legacy out of it.
Yeah, you got no arguments out of me. I also am going to the Mets for 5 years. I was debating going left field with this one, but I don't know. I just can't see the Rockies really overpaying the Mets
Ooh, that's
to
an interesting one
kind
because
of
that was not my second. That was in my consideration, but that was not my
yeah.
second. Go ahead, Kyle.
All right, so for me, just to be different from you guys, so he's not on the Mets. I got him going to the Seattle Mariners. I see
I
them
like it.
throwing some money over there because they want to be real competitive, and I feel like it'll be a great addition in their center field. Yeah.
Would you move Julio over to right then?
I like Nemo better in center. So yeah, I would move Julio to the right. I feel like he's good enough that you could put him anywhere in the outfield and he'll succeed.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like I like that. See, my number two here was actually going to be the Chicago White Sox. I liked the idea of
I
him
do like
going
him as
there.
well.
You can protect Luis Robert now by
Yeah.
moving him to
Would-
right field.
As
He's
someone
pretty,
who's had him on his fantasy, absolutely needs some fucking protection.
yeah, you got to save them legs, man. Uh, so that was like the debate, but also for me, I feel like Nimmo's a guy who gets locked up early. I don't feel like he's a late domino.
No,
No,
I
yeah,
he'll
I
be one
agree.
of the first pieces off after the big
Yeah,
down.
I thought originally, like, does he wait to see what the judge market is, and as like by the default second best outfielder, does he try to judge his market off of Judge's market? But then I said no, he can take advantage of the Mets saying, "Hey, we're just gonna lock you up quick, and then worry about big one next." Um, moving on now, Andrew Benintendi, a guy who's leaving the Yankees here, and I'll open this one up because I don't know if this will really do anything for you guys here, but I actually have him going to the Atlanta Braves. They're in need of a new left fielder, Marcelo Zuna, and as much as I love him, Eddie Rosario proved to not be up to snuff last year. I think he again is young enough that he fits with the timeline. I have them signing him for 3 years. I think he fits alongside Michael Harris in center, Acuna in right, uh, another left-handed bat for that lineup that can really be placed anywhere. You just plug and play at that point and your lineup now is fixated around the idea that you have, uh, you are around the horn. You have Contreras, the younger Contreras behind the plate. You have Matt Olson. You have Ozzy Albies. I have him resigning Dansby Swanson, Austin Riley. Now Benintendi, Michael Harris, and Ronald Acuna. That is
Yeah,
maybe the best young lineup ever assembled. You almost
yeah,
have to,
that's an insane lineup.
and it's and not for nothing, Benintendi I think comes at a cost-effective rate at this point in his career. Um, so I think it's doable for Atlanta when other people are chasing the bigger fish. They can lock up Dansby and make one more like gut punch ad to sort of go at the Mets with. So I I like it.
I do like that a lot, and you're kind of swaying me, but I'm gonna stick with it for the game purposes. I got him staying with the Yankees.
Ooh,
I got him because I really did like him with the Yankees, especially it just they need to structure the lineup better for him to be probably more effective. But I got him on a 4-year deal with the Yankees, especially I just feel like with everything going on, outfield if with probably Judge if he resigns, Bader and Benintendi, you really don't have to worry about your outfield like you have been in the past 2 years. Um, so I feel like that could be a really good core for them, and then he can be an actual leadoff hitter if they learn how to structure a lineup.
yeah, I like that. I like
Uh,
that.
I got Benintendi going to the White Sox.
Okay.
It's a little more versatility in the outfield, and a good bat, with a good average and stuff like that. And I feel like he could really help out that White Sox team a lot. And I think it's a good
That.
fit. Um, I got him at like 4 years. I don't know if I gave my years for Nemo, but I have him at 5 with
Okay.
the Manners.
Okay.
Just in case I didn't say it.
Okay. I like Benintendi to the White Sox too. It was almost the same reason I wanted Nimmo there.
Yeah, no,
It
I,
was
I can get it. I can. I'd be okay with those signings.
Yeah. Okay. So the next guy we're gonna go with is Kyle's favorite player of all time, Joey Gallo. Uh, Kyle, the folks at home, Kyle, big Joey Gallo fan. All year long, kept telling folks in Yankee
Three
Stadium
true outcomes, bro.
that Joey Gallo is going to be the next superstar of the Yankees when Judge leaves. So Kyle,
Three
big fan. So we're gonna let Kyle kick off where Joey Gallo is
three
going.
true outcomes. I don't like Joey Gallo at all. Just in case you didn't know that this man was joking, I don't like him. Um, So when you told me about this, that he was on the thing, I thought it was a joke. So I'm just gonna pick a random team. I got him going to the Rockies on a 2-year deal. What reason? Don't know.
I
The Rockies just
mean,
Rockies need a bat. They feel
if
like
he gets a hold of one, it's out.
they feel that he's gonna have a bounce back year. You know, the air is pretty thin out there, so you know.
All right, Nick, do you want to take this one, or do you want to go last?
I'll take this one. I have him returning to the Texas Rangers. I just, it was always a good fit. It's that like joke of, you never should have left Joey. Granted, he didn't want to leave. They traded his ass. But you know, it's a good fit. They need a right fielder again. Um, there's no reason not to. If you're the Texas Rangers, you know he can hit there. If you're Joey Gallo, you feel like, it's a homecoming where you restore some confidence. And for Joey Gallo, now it's a situation where, I mean, although they didn't show it last year, technically they were a better team than when you left because they last year added Corey Seager and Marcus Simeon. I also have them adding Carlos Rodon. So again, there's no pressure. You can just be maybe better a little bit. I don't know what to say there, but
He's still a Gold Glove outfielder, though.
yeah, I mean,
I'll give him
he's
that.
gonna do that part definitively. He's
Yeah,
gonna play very good
everything
defense,
else.
except
I
for
also
left
have
field.
him going to Texas. I have him going home on a lot cheaper deal.
Yeah,
I got him only on a 2-year deal though, but I don't even have him for like 20 mil. Like
damn it.
I think
Yeah,
they're gonna lowball. Like he's not gonna have much of a market
no,
just
he's
because
not.
of they saw how he can't take pressure. So a lot
Yeah.
of the contenders I feel like aren't gonna go for him unless they're not paying him much. And then Texas is gonna be like, hey, you should just come back. There's never any pressure in Texas.
I feel like the one thing we never got to address on this podcast was Joey Gallo's last at bat in Yankee pinstripes was a pinch hit against the best closer in baseball this year,
Yeah.
where Aaron Boone just said, fuck it. If you're not going to do it now, you're never going to do it. And just threw him out in just such a lose-lose situation for New York fans to just absolutely tear him apart one last time.
Yeah.
If that's not the worst way to leave a place, I don't know what is. And I feel like that was never really addressed.
It wasn't, but it was definitely like a last minute fuck you.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Um,
I always thought it was kind of funny how he played in like 2 of the biggest markets last year. You know,
Yeah,
he's in
and
New
he went to
York,
out to LA, and I
went to
remember
LA.
like the first couple games, didn't it seem like he was like catching fire and then immediately regressed back to Joey
Oh
Gallo?
yeah.
No, I just think that the standard for him batting wise was so low that when he did anything like get a home run or something, it's like, whoa, my God.
But even then, like Dodgers fans and Yankee fans are like on just different levels. Like Dodgers fans care, but they're not like Yankee fans care where they're gonna boo you if you're fucking up. Like Dodgers fans will just like talk shit a little bit, but then like,
Yeah,
you got other people. Like it doesn't matter.
no,
Like
that's fair.
they're not as like vocal as like New York sports fans were.
Okay, I like that. I like that. All right, so we're gonna move on to our sort of fun names that didn't quite make it into other positions. Number one is Gene Segura, the best second baseman available of a class of no second baseman. Um, I'll kick this one off. I have Gene Segura going to the Boston Red Sox on a 4-year pact. I think
Yeah.
they are, obviously I have Xander Bogaerts not re-signing. Trevor Story is, no, I don't even think it's arguable, is a better defensive shortstop than Xander Bogaerts. It made
Yeah.
no sense other than for ego's sake that Xander Bogaerts was playing shortstop at that point. Um, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't take another very good bat who plays a strong second base. Again, his numbers will go up next to the Green Monster. You know, Fenway's a lot easier to hit in than Citizens Bank. Uh, there's no reason for him not to want it. There's no reason for them not to pursue it. It fits hand in glove to me.
I got him going to the other Sox. I got him going to Chicago. Especially with Andrews going to the Twins. I feel like Segura is going to go to the White Sox. I got him on a 2-year deal, though. I feel like they're just going to wait and see what happens with Anderson, have him play in second, Anderson, see what's going on before they maybe offer something else or have him as like a more stopgap type position.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I got Gene Segura leaving the Phillies and going to the Rockies. I got them,
Ooh.
bringing in a solid bat, decent second baseman. Show that they will doing a little something in the off season. Just get him on a 2-year deal.
I like that. Especially with him and Chris Bryant. I like that.
And now Joey Gallo too in Kyle's.
Word. Yo, they about to go bananas out there, bro. Watch.
They're about to finally hit 500.
Yo, it's just gonna be straight offense versus offense for every Colorado Rockies game. It's just who can hit the most home runs at our stadium.
Pretty much. I mean, with that lineup, it's Gallo, CJ Crone. Like it's just a
Gene
bunch of stuff.
Segura, Chris Bryant.
Yeah, it's just who can hit home runs and who can't.
Yeah. Wow. This is interesting. Next we're gonna go a very fun player for now multiple reasons that are unintentional. Jock Peterson, uh, the worst fantasy football commissioner of all time.
Or best, depending on the way you look at it.
I was gonna say or best. Or best.
Yeah.
Kyle, where you got Jock Peterson going?
I got him staying with the Giants on another like 1-year deal, like about 20 million. I mean, he was an all-star last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're just gonna keep him around. Uh, still have some depth in the outfield and stuff like that. I mean, I have more to talk about the Giants later.
Oof.
I don't want to give away anything, but yeah.
Same.
All right. Do you want to go, Nick, or you want me to go?
You could go.
All right. I got Jock Peterson. Speaking of the fantasy football, I got him going to the Angels to deal with Mike Trout personally.
Ooh.
Just because I feel like over the last year, the Angels I feel like their confidence in Joe Adell dwindled a little bit. So I feel like a 2-year deal, get Jock in there, maybe send Joe Adell back down to AAA for a year or two so he can get his confidence back, bring him right back up. But I like Jock Peterson to the Angels.
Okay. That's not a bad one. That was interesting. I have him going to the New York Yankees. I have him being our new left fielder or possibly right fielder, depending on how some things go. But I feel I look at Jock Peterson, personality wise, as almost the Nick Swisher ad.
Yeah.
Very likable, very fun. The pearls around the neck, having a good time. Well, it's somewhere between Swisher and Voigt of just the way the fans might respond, sort of get into the game with Jock Peterson. I think he's proven time and again he can play in a big market. He can play in, the biggest games. You're talking about a guy who's a Dodger, then a Brave. His stops with the Cubs and Giants didn't yield, the playoff success, but it did yield good, sort of offensive statistics still. So he's proven he can do it in the regular season. He can do it in the playoffs. He's another guy that gets helped out by the shift, sort of vanishing. On top of it, playing with the short porch, and again, it's another situation where the Yankees can look at it and say, we're trying to offer one 30-year-old outfielder a very long-term contract. Jock Peterson is another 30-year-old outfielder. We don't have to offer a long-term deal to. I have to go in there on a 2-year pact.
Okay.
So I think it's a stomachable pill for fans to swallow, the front office to swallow. And again, I think he's a pretty likable guy. I think,
So you think the New York fans are gonna like the Jock Peterson signing if that does happen?
I think they will like it under one circumstance and one circumstance alone. It is not the only outfielder that is going to be signed by the Yankees this year. So we'll see what goes on in the Nick universe shortly. So moving on to the next guy, Brandon Drury. A weird name in the sense of early success in his career with the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Yankees trade for him as a stopgap for Gleyber Torres initially. That lasted for all of 2 weeks before he got hurt and then traded. Uh, Bounced around a few big league clubs last year, found a ton of success very early. Maybe the only Cincinnati Red who could, put bat on ball. Then gets traded to the Padres, continued success there, including in the playoffs. What do you guys feel about Brandon Drury? Kyle, you want to start us out there?
Yeah, I got him going to the Angels. I think the Angels like, like players like him that are utility infielder, play different positions and do stuff. They'll probably just end up trading him come trading deadline, but I got him on a 2-year deal, like about 20 million.
Okay. I like that for him. I like that for him.
I
Um,
also have him going to the Angels
oh wow.
for 2 years, another 2-year deal. Have him about like 18, 19 mil. Um, I just figured with him going to second, they'll probably move Rengifo to short because I know they like Squid, but Squid doesn't offer anything with his bat. Um, so I feel like that's just a good like stopgap for them.
So wait, what do you do then with Fletcher?
Fletcher honestly hasn't been playing a lot, so I don't know with his history, with his injury history. I don't know what they're going to do with that, but
That's
it gives
fair.
them options in
That's
case
true.
because everyone decides to get hurt once they put on an Angels uniform. So who knows what'll happen? They'll have the options and the depth, which is what they need.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. Speaking of a team who really likes positional flexibility, I actually have Drury going to the Minnesota Twins, and I feel
Okay.
he finally gets his long-term deal there at 4 years. Not really long-term, but a nice little contract. He can play essentially every position on a field except maybe center field and catcher. He can do a lot for a Minnesota Twins team that likes to shuffle the deck frequently. Depending on what happens with Carlos Correa, who apparently still possibly interested in a return there. I think having the flexibility of a guy slotting it short, slotted at third, second, first, out and right and left, as well as give you some days as a DH because his bat translates. I think it's a good fit. I can see him as a top of the lineup kind of guy for them going forward. So yeah, I felt good about that one. Now to one that none of us are going to feel good about, no matter what we say. And that
Wait.
is,
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by
no matter
that?
what we say, we're not going to feel good about our confidence in the answer. We're not going to feel good about,
A lot of these are shot in the darks.
you know, this is the big money talks now, And actually, you know what? We're gonna switch it up slightly in terms of the order I originally said. We'll save Judge for last.
Okay.
That's fair.
Just to switch it up a little bit. So instead, we'll go first with Trey Turner. Maybe as big of a shot in the dark as there is, considering we all have him leaving the Dodgers.
Yes.
So the question now becomes, where is Trey Turner going, Julian?
I got him returning to the NL East, but I got him going to Philadelphia.
Ooh,
I got him going to Philadelphia for an 8 year. I got him. I think I wrote down 272 million, about 34 a year. I feel like same thing we were mentioning earlier. You mentioned earlier with Scott. I feel like they're not that confident in him. They can maybe move him to second, especially with Segura leaving. And you plug in Trey Turner there. He's that leadoff hitter that they desperately need. So he fits. I feel like he fits that team so well. Um, I don't want him to go to Philly, but I feel like he's going to Philly.
that's fair. That's fair. Oh, you're smiling big. Go ahead.
No, because I have him go to the same place.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, with G Segura leaving, obviously, then you just move Scott over, and then he's perfectly going to be their leadoff guy. And I feel like the Phillies, especially with after giving all that money to Bryce Harper and it paying off with them getting to the championship, that they're going to decide, like, you know what, we got this window. We just need to add some more pieces, and then we'll get over the hump and win the whole thing. So I see them, going out there and aggressively trying to get Trey Turner. And Trey Turner, like, you know what, I like what you guys are doing over there. I'm with it.
I like that.
I like that.
So the thing for Trey Turner about me is I think his market materializes not with the shortstop market, but with Aaron Judge's market.
Okay.
And as I think, again, because he offers maybe a little bit more positional flexibility in terms of a willingness to slot over second, play center, even maybe third. His market is very different than what Carlos Correa's market is as a true shortstop, maybe a third baseman. So for Turner, I think the team, one of the teams that is big on Aaron Judge, but misses or feels they're about to miss, takes a big swing on Trey Turner, which is why for 9 years I have Trey Turner signing with the San Francisco Giants. I think the Giants taking Trey Turner is a big FU to a division rival in the Los Angeles Dodgers, who also let a different shortstop walk in Corey Seager to keep Trey Turner. But the fact that, a deal to this point is still not materialized is, I think, why we all sort of view Trey Turner as walking. The Giants and Dodgers, I think, the Aaron Judge thing might get a little personal between bitter rivals there in terms of one-upsmanship, but I think the Giants take the first sort of shot in new war out west by grabbing Trey Turner here. 9 years, he's going to eclipse 300 million in 9 years, so it's definitely going to be a great winter for him, but definitely going to a San Francisco Giants team there.
I like that. Who was your second in case he doesn't go to the Giants?
My second was actually the Mets.
No,
Really?
the Mets were also my second.
Wait, so where's he going to play on the Mets?
He goes to second with Jeff McNeil slotting to third. Or
Yeah, so me and Nick talked about this outside the podcast because I brought it up because I've been seeing a lot of things that the Mets were going to be very aggressive in going for Turner.
Yeah.
So I'm like, ooh, if he goes, you can slot him to second. They're probably going to let Nimmo walk if they sign Turner.
Yeah.
You let Marte play center, or you want Turner playing center, or you can literally do whatever you want with this lineup with how flexible Turner is. You can
I think at that point,
corner or even in third to fill
now
in.
that I was gonna say, now that I hear it out loud, Marte probably goes back to center, and then
you can have either McNeil or
McNeil goes to
Turner.
right, Turner plays second, and then you still have Eduardo Escobar play third.
Wait, so you think for Trey Turner, he's like their top priority in terms of someone that's outside of the organization for the Mets?
No, I think outside of the organization, probably. I wouldn't doubt it.
I think there's a bigger priority.
Because for
there's
me,
a bigger priority, but he's saying outside of the organization. Like obviously,
no, because for me,
Agreed.
I think for you to get Trey Turner, you got to be on that early, wanted to give him that money and not want to be worrying about, oh, should I have to spend this money with somebody else that I see as a top priority outside the organization.
Yeah,
I think
that's only
I feel
reason
like we're dealing with a
why I don't
different
see him from the
Mets
Mets.
because this isn't the Wilpons. This is Steve Cohen. He's willing to spend the money. I feel like that's not really much of an issue when he's like, if we're going to end up going to some playoffs and finally getting this monkey off our back, let's do it.
All right,
Because I think merchandise alone of a Trey Turner jersey will definitely reimburse a lot of what's going on.
I wonder what he wears at that point, because doesn't Jeff McNeil wear 6?
No, Marte wears 6.
Marte wears 6. It was somebody with an.
I mean, Marte, I don't know. They'll figure it out.
It's just a number.
It's just.
Oh wait, wasn't he 7 before that with Washington?
He was 7 before that.
So maybe he takes that up because unless the Mets are planning to retire Jose Reyes' number. LOL. Moving on to a different shortstop who I varying opinions on the man thoroughly. I guess I have to learn to root for him again, considering the World Baseball Classic's coming up.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it's an interesting tale of the tape for Carlos Correa with me. Um, I I'm gonna be honest. I have three teams for Carlos Correa.
Okay.
All three teams were teams I said should have signed him last year.
Okay.
Uh, and this is where he was maybe my most difficult. Ultimately, though, in a screw it, we've already started spending the money. We gotta go all in. I have Carlos Correa moving off of shortstop to play third base with the Detroit Tigers alongside Javier Baez.
Ooh.
A reunion with AJ Hinch. He is longtime friends with Javier Baez. I also, in the same offseason, mind you, have him going and re-signing, not re-signing, but returning Justin Verlander. This is a Tigers team who last year made a statement with Javier Baez, Eduardo Rodriguez, Andrew Chafin. Uh, we're ready to start spending money again. It didn't work out for us a decade ago, but we're ready to do it again. Um, it cannot stop with Baez. It just can't
I like it.
because it just doesn't make sense. I think Carlos Correa loves AJ Hinch. He loves a lot of what that coaching staff AJ Hinch brought with him to Detroit is. And if there's ever, you know, between the two of them, they will figure out who's going to play short, who's going to play third.
Yeah.
And I think to play together, both of them will happily sort of do that LeBron James D Wade meme where they said no one knows who's going to take the shot, so they're just passing it back and forth. It's going to be that kind of thing of if you want it, you got it. Oh, you want it, you got the it works too well to not have it at this point.
I think you're just speaking to the Puerto Rican in me. I really like that a lot more than my
Oh,
pick.
of course.
But yeah, especially like it would make sense too because then they'd have all winter with the World Classic to, build that chemistry back up on the field.
Yeah.
Uh, Kyle, did you want to go? Do you want to take it?
Oh yeah, because it sounds like you got something big to
Yeah.
say. So I have the Giants being big spenders this offseason. They have a lot of money to spend. So I got them taking Carlos Correa to be like the start of a really big offseason for them to make really big moves. So I
Oh,
got them taking him. No spoiler, but if you think about it, you already know where I'm going.
uh-oh.
So
Ruh-roh, Raggy.
so
Ruh-roh,
I, I
Raggy.
I got the Giants being real aggressive and going out and getting Carlos Correa.
Okay. So, by the way, I forgot to throw my number up for Correa,
Yeah.
years wise. I don't think I think he gets almost exactly what he's getting and AAV wise, but to sort of lock up the long-term deal, I have him 34 years, so a little bit less than what he was just making at 35-1, but for this many.
10 years.
I can see it.
Whoa.
Yeah, especially with a Detroit that's not doesn't have a lot on the payroll locking up. I can see that.
Yeah.
Before you threw Texas or Detroit in my head, I also had him going to the Giants. I had figured if they miss out on the big fish, they're gonna go grab him, say another little fu to the Dodgers, just trying to get him before the Dodgers can get him. And so I got him, same thing, 34 for 8 years.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I like that all of us have the Giants like, you know, it's go bigger but go home, or I guess go in the middle, depending on where this last one goes. For reference, my other two with Carlos Correa were actually going to be the New York Mets.
Okay.
Similar rationale to play third base to Francisco Lindor's shortstop, something I called for last year. And also a team who was big on him last year, but never quite could justify the offer was the Chicago Cubs. But I could see them sort of doing a Twins-esque move Maybe not an every year opt out, but definitely sort of moving in that direction on a shorter term high A offer for Carlos Correa. So they were an interesting one for me. And then we get to the big one.
We get to the big one.
The
Big
one where
fish.
really, no matter what you say, you're gonna feel weird about it emotionally. Whether
Yeah.
you have Aaron Judge leaving New York, whether you have him staying, you're gonna feel weird because you don't want to see him go. But simultaneously, if you have him staying, you feel weird about psyching yourself up to have an emotional breakdown later on. So, anyone really want to start this one off?
I think as the non-Yankee fan here, I'll
Go
start it
ahead.
off. I do have him staying with the Yankees. I have them giving him 44, 8 years. I feel like
Back
they're
up the
gonna,
brink truck.
yeah, they're gonna fucking bring it up to him because at this point, you have to. With the year he had, I get he didn't show up in the playoffs, but the year he had, you kind of have to, and like people will not look at you as the Yankees anymore if you don't give him this kind of contract. And I feel like with everything that with the roster construction, the Yankees don't want to give up. Hey, we're still the Yankees. We can still afford everybody, especially our captain, our first homegrown superstar in over 20 years. We need to lock him up for the rest of his career. And I feel like there's no doubt about it that they should offer like the whole truck. Because God forbid he goes across town.
It's the Mets.
God forbid he goes across town.
Oh, you want to go ahead because you
Oh,
tipped your hand heavy?
I tip my hand heavy, but I'm starting to change my mind. Nah,
Oof.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Man heading out west. You're going back home. He's going to the San Francisco Giants on an 8-year deal, like 330 plus, and he's gonna start new over there. I think the New York Yankees are gonna offer him somewhere close, but I think they're still gonna try, get a little hometown discount, not want to pay him, and he's gonna feel like, a little slighted. And seeing what happened in the ALCS and all that stuff like that, he's probably gonna be like, you know what? I love New York, I really do. New York adopted me, the fans love me, but I'm gonna go back home. So
All
I got him
right.
going to the
Now
Giants.
for the tiebreaker.
Is it?
He said, "Is it?"
So here's the thing with the Aaron Judge free agency is I have been debating about this maybe since I don't know 2 years ago. Uh there is the obvious go back home thing. And Kyle, you this is where I will say I have to eliminate the Giants
Limited. Ooh.
because of you open the door at least with having Correa go, having them making other moves. I have Trey Turner going to them as the consolation.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Yep.
So
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
the thing is I have the Giants striking out so they sign Turner, not vice versa, not making the moves to make the team feel more appealing.
Yeah, but the reason why I don't agree with that, because I feel like Aaron Judge is gonna sit and wait. And I feel like
But that's
I think Trey Turner's gonna sign early. So I don't see them being like, all right, we're all in on Aaron Judge, and then we strike out and then take
yeah.
Trey Turner.
See, for me, I have them both going
Okay.
because I feel, Trey Turner, anyone outside of maybe Brandon Nimmo feels that their market is more tied to what happens to Judge. Because if you're Trey Turner, it's a weird sort of statement, I guess, of you're not the shortstop that Correa is, but you're maybe the better baseball player.
Hmm.
It's kind of a weird because of the offense, because of the speed, and because of the positional flexibility. I think you would rank Trey Turner ahead of Carlos Correa, just not
Yeah.
defensively playing shortstop, is how I sort of look at that. So you're the second best player on the market. Let the best players set the market, is my sort of view on it. You want to make sure you get paid. So for me, that kind of eliminates the Giants. They didn't make the move outside of Judge. So then it leaves three. It's the return to the Yankees, Steve Cohen spending big, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now the Dodgers playing for Xander Bogaerts as their big money signing and not wanting to do two, I think is where they drop for me.
Right, I don't mean to cut you off, but say he did go to the Dodgers. Where does Mookie play?
Huh?
Where does Mookie play? If Aaron Judge went to the Dodgers, where would Mookie play?
I would slot Mookie to center and
Center.
and Bellinger to left.
Okay. No,
Yeah,
I was wondering about that.
I know there's been the whole like bring Mookie into second thing.
Yeah.
But I love him
I don't
too
like
much
that.
in the outfield. I feel like the arm is almost wasted at second. And now you have the flexibility, weirdly enough, that both Judge and Mookie can play center. It's
But even then, they're
and
probably
also you
not going
still
to
have Cody.
re-sign
And wait
Justin
a minute,
Turner.
huh?
I'm like, I don't have the Dodgers re-signing Justin Turner, so even if they get Judge, they can legitimately have like a floor with the DH position. They can rotate everybody just to
Yeah,
get
no,
everybody
for sure, for
under
sure.
them.
So for my purposes now, I have the Yankees and Mets remaining,
Okay.
which I hate. Except, and this is what it came down to for me. I have Aaron Judge re-signing with the New York Yankees at long last 8 years because to tip a different podcast episode, maybe I have the Mets going after a different big fish that is not on the free agent market in
Okay.
Shohei Ohtani.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm also me and
Wait,
him been talking.
So what type of pieces are they moving over to the Angels?
I think the Mets have such a good depth of prospects that are MLB ready.
Yeah.
That you can entice a Los Angeles Angels to not have to go deep into a rebuild with. When you can move a Ronnie Mauricio, who is now in a logjam behind Francisco Lindor forever, no matter what. Brett Batty is, again, if you're bringing in whether you're bringing someone or not, you have Eduardo Escobar blocking, you have Jeff McNeil blocking, Pete Alonso blocking that path to bigs. And the question is, do you also want to part ways with your catcher in Francisco Alvarez, #1 prospect in Major League Baseball? For Shohei Ohtani, with the idea that you can re-sign because you can pay him more than anyone else.
But do you think he wants to be in the Mets though?
So I don't know if you've seen his contract details with that 30 mil for next year the Angels signed him for. He has only one team to be traded for. Every other team has had no trade clause. It's only the Mets.
Really?
Yeah.
Where he theoretically, yeah.
Let's get it done.
That's the one thing is by process of elimination, it's Yankees there. So really, in terms of timeline, it's actually, Yankees, Giants down to the end, loser takes Trey Turner. Again, that is such a horrible thing to say about Trey Turner. Very good ball player. But I think that's sort of how this plays itself out. But because I earlier had Trey Turner go to the Giants, it means the Yankees take Aaron Judge. And 8 years, I think very similar to what you guys had. I think I actually pushed him up to about 34 million. For 8 years.
I got 330.
There's no situation for me where the Yankees cannot match what the best offer is. You can't have a Freddie Freeman situation with Aaron Judge in New York. Yeah. It cannot happen. The question of did they match, did they not? You have to, the second any report comes out about what the Dodgers gave them or the Mets or the Giants or whoever, the second that thought bubble pops up on Twitter, you need the Yankees saying, well, we offered him that too. Well, we're giving him that too. Aaron Judge, if you're reading this right now, it's too late. We offered it to you too.
Just at Aaron Judge.
At Aaron Judge, if this is true, you got it, Papa. You got to. You can't not. This is your greatest star since Jeter. And even Jeter, for as much as we love him, I named my dog after him. Mariano is great. The core four, maybe as a sum in terms of what they mean to the sport at a given time, maybe equate to what Aaron Judge as an individual is doing right now for Major League Baseball. In terms of carrying it as its figurehead, in terms of, I mean, he's putting up Ruthian numbers, things no one has ever seen done before. And the caveat is he's not on steroids. He's not on steroids. So, you know, he's literally, you know, as much as Shohei Ohtani is the Babe Ruth of our generation, I think Aaron Judge is more so because he's doing the thing that Babe Ruth is actually famous for. Babe Ruth never did the Shohei Ohtani thing. That's a completely different animal. Aaron Judge is as Babe Ruth as it gets for us. You know, I think that's where the disconnect a little bit is. But, you know, the quote unquote Babe Ruth Shohei Ohtani, I think ends up in Queens sooner rather than later, which becomes the fixation, because then if that is happening, the Mets have to figure out, you know, we can't DH Judge to extend the length of his contract.
Yeah.
So it does not, I don't think if you're the Mets, doing both does not make sense. And also, if you're going to pay Shohei, you're not paying Judge.
Yeah.
So
I like
that's
it.
just
And
that's just
me personally, I really do wish that happens, just because then the two faces of baseball are in one city.
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
that would be
dope.
freaking insane. Yeah, thank you guys for doing this. I mean, we're gonna really have to keep tabs. I expect a whole lot of texts and calls to one another, shit talking what goes on from henceforth. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. This has been the Noble Just Ball podcast. It has been very real. It has been very nice. And we will do this again very soon.